Everfrog Esports, trying to find what angle they can, trying to find somebody out of position.
We're gonna go through on this. Oh, what a roll. We're gonna deflect. See White gonna go in.
It's going to be a really, really interesting one.
Oh my god. All of this competition could be so damn close, so I cannot wait for us to finally decide who's going to be the champion. We are expecting some chaos, some great moments.
Beast Mode has killed 3. Only gonna really need that Rampage, so it's gonna clear it out. Santi gonna get themselves a big old 4K. Oh. Santi getting rid of 3, clearing out the house.
That is crazy.
Nunji actually kills 3 people.
This team feels entirely different on this faster composition. Now Saga is hanging around, getting onto the high ground. Post bomb's gonna stick on the Leaky. They're not gonna be able to survive it at the end of the day. Boom! Manages to find a 3K!
Rio shoving this Ana into a corner. Woo! One more for the road for Rio.
That is all signs go. Melophobia with 3 Melophobia. Start the fight. They'll end the fight. Oh my god. Beagle Bus, they have to play aggressively into this energy. Popping off in a moment where you needed just that. Ruby in that backline. Oh, the flick. Looking for it. Oh my goodness. The 4th one as well. Do they get the ace? They get the ace.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to North American Masters Division. We are in the playoffs now for CGL. It is I, Rags, and Mega Ninja bringing you all the action here tonight. This match between Jade Eagles versus 021. 2 teams coming into this from a very even record line in the regular season, but now all cards on the table. In order to stay alive in the upper bracket, they need a victory here tonight.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this. This is the first round of the playoffs. Both of these teams are going to be going back and forth to try to stay in the upper bracket as long as possible. Whoever does win this goes against, I don't remember what the team was called, but the opponent they're going to be going against is already secured for them. So whoever wins this will already know their opponent for the next matchup. I'm really excited, especially with this new patch that dropped for Overwatch literally today. We'll be able to see how the buffs and the changes occur. We can look right now at the bracket. It looks like it's going to be Unwoke, Yaoi, and Joyers. I can't believe I had to say that on stream, huh?
I'll make sure to say it before we're done too, so we can even this out here. But yes, the bracket is wide open at this point, folks. There are 4 teams with a bye in the first round. One of those being Unwoke Yaoi Enthusiasts. So it's going to be the victor of this one here will face off against them there. Both of these teams have had a slightly better than average regular season, but they really need to step it up to actually bring it to some of these higher seed teams coming into that second and then eventually 3rd round of the upper bracket. And of course, one of them's going down to the lowers already. We've only got 1 team that's been sent down there so far. Plenty more to join them, as you can see by this wide open bracket, but that just means we're in the very earliest days of the playoffs here. So much more Overwatch to come. But tonight's match, well, as we hone in a little bit here, we know we're heading first for our opening control map. It's going to be to Samoa.
Yeah, Samoa is definitely not a common option for that first map pick. You know, most of the time we do see something like Lijiang, like maybe, well, before it was taken out of the map pool, we saw Ilios a little bit. Busan was sometimes an option, but Samoa, I don't think I've had the privilege of casting just yet, so we'll have to see what kind of compositions they're going to be wanting to run here. When you look at the recent patch notes and you look at what's available, you do know that not a lot of changes came to more of the meta characters. You know, Diva didn't really get touched, Tracer didn't really get touched. So far it does look like the meta still has unshifted, but of course that could be up to teams' interpretation. So we might be seeing some interesting comps here today.
Yeah, you know, just from looking at today's patch notes, I was studying up before we got in here. It looks as though Blizzard mostly was going with buffs for the lesser played, less optimal heroes rather than nerfing everyone down to the same level. So we'll see if it's enough to keep everyone on the same par as your most common compositions. For example, your Divas, your Zaryas, your Vendettas, who did get a few nerfs, as it were, in the overall patch. But it is going to be Jade Eagles with our first ban here. We'll see what tempo they want to set, if they want to key into these more meta picks, or as you hinted, Mega Ninja, if they want to play their own game here and really capitalize on some of these adjusted heroes that we've seen just roll out today, folks, there will be no Sierra here, at least for this first week of playoffs, just because no one's had any time to use her whatsoever. An early ban on Lucio. Honestly, much as I love him as a character, I love to see a Lucio ban on these control rounds here. It really indicates that you've got your own tempo, and taking that away from your opponent is massive in most cases.
Yeah, it definitely makes you have to make adjustments in your backline. Most of the time you do see that Curie Lucio backline, but with the Lucio taken off of the board, beat's not available, it kind of has to slow things down a lot. Different compositions in the backline could include things like a Curie Brig, I've seen that a couple times, Curie Wu Yang. If you're not comfortable in that Curie, then you go Juno Brig. There's many options on the table for what they can run in that backline with that Lucio taken off the board, but now you have to look at what 0-2-1 want to ban. They have tank and damage as available options. If I was them, if I'm not feeling comfortable on this Diva, I take that off the board immediately. I think it's a smart idea to take care of that really strong character right now, but maybe they want to play it, and so they're going to be taking the Cassidy off of the table. Cassidy, kind of a lower level hit scan. I'd probably put him in an A tier, while Soj and Emre are in the S tier. But Cassidy could be a pick that they know the enemy team wants to run, and taking that off the board for map number 1 is going to definitely, make things a little interesting there.
Yeah, right, and also Lucio obviously facilitates the dive so effectively, and Cassidy is your basic counter dive, your anti-dive hero there, so really shows that Jade Eagles are expecting to see that from 0-1, and 0-1 say, hey, look, you can only counter us so much here, you're not going to be able to run a Cassidy, even if we are going to play this dive composition. We'll see if that's exactly how it shakes out here. I haven't had the pleasure of casting 0-1 just yet, but it's good to see these two teams fighting, good starting point here. I think these are both very solid bans. I like to see it when teams take big swings, at least, on this first map, instead of just sort of taking out at least a less meta pick. Taking something like a Lucio out of here indicates a massive shift of things, and a Cassidy in answer really indicates that we're going to be going blow for blow with these bans. But we'll see exactly what these rosters look like out the gate here. Now that we've had the bans, they can sort of shuffle up their players here a little bit just to see which of their teammates want to be in for this first round and which ones are going to be on the bench. Perhaps your Lucio player, for example, might be sitting this first one out.
Yeah, I mean, definitely if you have a Lucio one-trick on your team, which I am all too familiar with, you're going to be taking them off of the board. But here we have the rosters. We see the Jade Eagles running with Mercat, Char, Tsukishima? I don't know how to pronounce that. Tsukishima, I want to say. Whacking and Chayla. Man, I should have. Kayla.
That's right. Yes, Kayla. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's not.
And for 0-1, we're looking at Ghoul and Loki for your DPS line, Rango as your tank, Zongfrog, and switch this for the support line. I got the user one there. That's just kind of how that one shook out. So, yep, these are our starting rosters coming into this. Of course, none of these are just favored heroes, none of which is a guaranteed selection coming into this. But yeah, that is Zongfrog, who, I mean, I'm just guessing by your own name here. Anyone with a frog name coming into Overwatch gotta be at least somewhat Lucio curious at the very least here. But yeah, I'm kind of expecting to see much in the same way you're indicating, Mega Ninja. I'm thinking like something with a Kiriko, either the Wu Yang or the Juno, but we're looking at a Juno Brig right now. This could change. There's a few seconds left to go, but I currently, all right, swap over to the Ana and then the Juno. We love to see changing up to the very last second here out of spawn room doors, just getting the speed ring here. So it is going to be sticking with the Ana Brig backline. Rengo, this newly buffed Ramatra, has access to that exploding Ravenous Vortex as part of his base kit. Does a bit less damage than it does in the perk, but it still has some potentiality that we'd love to see these teams get a handle around here. Tsukishima on this Wrecking Ball, though, as indicated, is a favorite hero. This dive, well and truly expected for Jade Eagles, as we were, talking about. No Lucio here for either squad, so all the speed is going to have to be on their own kits themselves. The point is already under pressure here from Jade Eagles, but they're being fought tooth and nail here on the high ground over the objective. It's so tough for Rango to actually maintain some presence here. The Wrecking Ball of Tsukishima just constantly rolling in and out of danger and prodding and poking you from the back line here, taking down Rango early on. Char finding the finishing blow, but you have lost Whacking. All right, and Kayla is so low on her own, so Jade Eagles have to play this a bit more carefully. Down one healer, they are going to get first cap.
Yeah, really good start there from the side of Jade Eagles. A little interesting out actually in the backline of 0-2-1. Having that on a Brig as your backline is definitely not conventional. I like the backline from Jade Eagles a little bit more. I think that Kayla and Whacking are just on a stronger composition. But we'll have to see, of course. Also, this DPS line from 0-2-1, definitely interesting. We'll have to see how that Bastion and the Mei are able to deal with that ball. That could be such a problem.
Yeah, hard to even lock him down, but the whole point is that if you can get a sleep off just like that, you'd love to get the damage through, but unfortunately being slept on the high ground means that Ghoul didn't have a really great sightline on it, and by the time that that ball is awake and everyone else from the side of Jade Eagles is there to support, they are a bit low themselves. The minefield comes out, taking down Loki. She's not able to build up towards that Blizzard just yet here, but the rest of 0-1 have an essential full slate of ultimates once they get their Mei back in the fight. It's going to be the rally rolling from Zongfrog towards the objective, trying to maintain any point pressure here. Taking down Tsukushima is massive. That is the tank presence now. Yes, with this composition of Jade Eagles, you're not exactly relying on the Wrecking Ball to hold down the point, but the stall potential is crazy, especially when you're looking at this venture for Mercat, not able to build up towards that tectonic shot before falling. So that is going to be more and more bodies falling for Jade Eagles. 0-1 look as though they have control of this, but as long as Char on this Tracer is alive and harassing that backline of Zongfrog, finally, coming to the rescue of that fellow support. The Ana is safe here in the hands of the raid boss, not even in a rally this time, but Brig still doing Brig things. It's going to be 0-1 in control.
Yeah, really good stall there from the side of the Jade Eagles, just getting all of their players back, and it kind of forces some ults out from 0-1, and so now Jade Eagles have that advantage. I really like the more conventional comp from Jade Eagles, running that double flex with that Venture, with that Tracer. We'll have to see how it pays off here, as we do have a couple of ults coming up for this fight. It's going to be dangerous for 0-1 to get the job done.
And danger is the name of the game. The minefield into the tectonic shock. That is already 2 down for 0-1. Rango still trying to hold things down on the front line, but there's still a bunch of mines preventing you from actually getting on the objective with any real presence. And with the only support alive being your Brig, Zongfrog is going to have a rally online yet again. So that is actually a massive feather in the cap of 0-1. But the point got flipped. You step off for a single second, and this high-speed composition from Jade Eagles are just able to take the tempo to you. And that's going to be the Pulse Bomb expended here. Char finding that finishing blow onto Rango. Rally rolling for Zongfrog, but only for a few seconds. Once the point is flipped for Jade Eagles, they do not let it go a second time. That's 100-31. First round on Samoa.
Yeah, I mean, I think the comp from 0-1 is really trying to shut down this ball, right? You have the Ana, you have the Brig, you have the Mei. Just kind of things that kind of blow up or stop the ball from having that momentum. But the rest of the team for Jade Eagles is kind of just able to run free because you have so much pressure on that ball. This Tracer, this Venture, just kind of going nuclear in that backline, trying to take out as many as possible. And yeah, they did give up a flip at one point, but Jade Eagles seem in complete control right now. Their ability to stall out as long as physically possible with that Tracer, with that ball, with that Venture, is made it so they had like 80% before a flip could even come through, despite the fight really being over when it was around 50. So 0-1 gonna have to swap some things around, gonna be over onto the Orisa now. We'll have to see if that has any impact to maybe make it so this round goes in their favor.
I like the swap of the Orisa, right? If you're more comfortable in these rush compositions, I think Orisa is a much better answer to this Wrecking Ball, as indicated by the kill feed right there. Rango finding the finishing blow onto Tsukushima, as is only right and proper, but staying alive is a really tough bargain when you're facing so much damage coming through from the remaining members of Jade Eagles. They were not at all in a vulnerable spot, stuck in that small room. That is Rango down. Now Tsukushima back here on this Zarya instead, an answer to the Orisa. An excellent swap from, I'm sure 0-1 were might expecting a consistent Wrecking Ball all the way through, but swapping immediately onto the Zarya in answer to that Orisa. Jade Eagles have the answers, they have the compositional choices, and despite losing their tank early on, they still get first control, getting the Zarya back in the fight here. Tsukushima has to stay alive. Ghoul poking and prodding from the backline here. 0-1 are just trying to find some inroads, but Rango has to make a foray coming through. Looks as though you are going to get some space here onto the high ground, finding a few potential shots with that Javelin, trying to get anybody off on your own, isolate any of these targets. Mercat, has to be noted, is on the Embry instead. So much damage coming through here this time. And Char, once again, about to have a pulse bomb, by the way. Fastest building ult in the server right now. Kayla spots out Ghoul. That is your Echo down. So much of that long range poke is completely obliterated here for 0-1. Char next to fall, though, not able to utilize that pulse bomb, so that could easily be a 0-1. They flipped the point, and we'll see how long it takes. If Tsukishima stays alive here, that is going to be a massive thorn in their sides. Rango falls solo, but the Nano committed from Switch this, determined to keep things alive, but the point is flipped under their noses yet again. The fight is still ongoing on the point and off. Whacking with that Tidal Blast, taking down Zongfrog while having that rally still available to you is a real tough spot for 0-1 to be in, but it looks as though, I mean, the dust isn't quite settling yet, but Jade Eagles seem that they're still in control of the point.
Yeah, with that kill on Rango, it's going to all but secure the fight win for Jade Eagles. It was a little back and forth between the two teams. I think a couple of interesting point flips at various points came through, and now some late staggers. I don't know. I think you need to solve with this backline. Like, I think the Brig is a good option, but I think that the Ana is, you know, a little bit of a problem, right? Especially into this Tracer. You can't really rely on your Brig to keep you alive all of the time. We'll have to find out, of course, if this can go the way of 0-1, but right now, I mean, Jade Eagles have the ult advantage, they have the point advantage. 0-1 have to go absolutely nuclear with this rally, especially since they just swapped off their Mei, so they don't have that Blizzard anymore. I don't know how they're going to win this next fight. It has to just be on the back of this rally, but there's so many answers for Jade Eagles. This fight looks unwinnable for 0-1.
Speaking of answers, that's the Override Protocol high in the sky here for Mercat, and of course you have that Kitsune Rush here. Kayla can use that anytime she so desires if things start to turn against Jade Eagles. 0-1 stuck in a small space, and now very much stuck, quite literally. That grab comes through. 2 ults spent, and all the value in the world you can possibly have. You clean up these kills at the end here. That's going to be the round. There's no one even alive from 0-1 to touch the objective. Once again, in a very similar percentage scoreline, that's going to be Jade Eagles taking Samoa 2-0 rather, not really being tested all that much.
No, I mean, the only time that they were kind of tested was getting off of that ball to go over to the Zarya, but that was because you had like 18 counters on the enemy team. So I kind of understood that. And then they saw the Orisa, they swapped over to the Zarya, a really good counter swap. But we'll have to see, of course, now for 0-1, they're going to have map selection and they're going to have first ban. Wow, nice boop off the map. But we're going to have to see, right, if some swaps come in, where we go in terms of map choice and first ban. I mean, the ball is in 0-1's court, right? They have the option to make this an even series. I think they have the potential to. You know, a little bit of an interesting first fight on that second round. You know, they had the point, and then they lost the point, and then they had the point again, and then they lost it again. It was a very interesting sequence, but I think that this team can make this competitive as long as they, you know, strategize correctly.
Yeah, I think this was unfortunately just a difference of composition, right? I mean, Jade Eagles had the full lead, running rings quite literally around 0-1 all the way through. I appreciated the swap here from 0-1 on the second point. I think they really had a good read on what they would need to actually take something to this dive composition, but unfortunately, one swap, the tank swap, isn't going to be enough. They made some late game, you know, adjustments there, but as you highlighted, that Ana was just a sitting duck, unfortunately, in the sights lines of that Tracer along with the Wrecking Ball. And then even when you switch to the Zarya, there's still so little for an Ana to do when there's so much consistent pressure coming through from the side of Jade Eagles here. So yeah, I think 0-1, you chalk that one up. That's just not going to go your way. See what they have up for us here in terms of their map pick coming into the second one of the series. They've got a chance to even things up here. You would love to just go to a nice even 1-1 scoreline. Going down 2-0 in a series like this, especially as playoffs are kicking off, is kind of a bit of a deal breaker here. It feels really bad to be stuck with your backs up against the wall like that. Not saying a reverse sweep isn't possible or in the cards here, but Jade Eagles look very comfortable. It's going to take a lot to dethrone them right now.
Yeah, I mean, Jade Eagles look like they have complete control. 0-1 have to kind of take us to a map of their choice. I mean, I thought Samoa with their composition would be more favorable. Having that rush kind of map or that brawl kind of composition, something that you were able to run, but I just think that it was too difficult for them to deal with the Tracer, especially. I think that Char was definitely a big problem for them. We'll have to see, of course, what the choice is in terms of map. I don't believe we have that in. Oh, wait, no, I'm just kidding. We're going to Runasapi. Okay, very interesting, very good. What does that tell you about kind of what compositions they want to run? Do you think that we'll be seeing the ball again?
Honestly, if it is not banned out, I think the Wrecking Ball is still going to stick here. Jade Eagles seem to be the kind of team that they're going to run ball until it stops working for them, right? And honestly, on Runasapi, these push maps in general, especially Runasapi and Esperanza, you've got plenty of latitude to run this Wrecking Ball, right? Now, if I am 0-1, I'm going to ban either the Tracer or the Wrecking Ball, I think, coming into the second map. Both of those were probably the biggest thorns in your side all the way through, so we'll see what the choice is here. And for Jade Eagles, nothing was really giving you a whole ton of trouble. I mean, you got rid of the Cassidy first round, so that is one of those heroes that can actually be a little bit annoying for a Wrecking Ball to deal with, but certainly not a deal breaker by any stretch of the imagination. And yeah, that's that's an understandable ban there for 0-1. The Wrecking Ball was an absolute nuisance. And yeah, I think it's just really good on Runasapi in particular, so I'm glad that they made that call. That does mean it's going to be on the cards, on the table rather, for the rest of the series, but you need to turn things around here and now.
The Eagles now have in a very interesting position. They banned out the Lucio the first round, so now I'm thinking, why not ban the other meta support? Take the Curie off the board. Just kind of make things a little difficult for the side of 0-1. Maybe they rely on that backline, right? First, so first you take out that Lucio, make the backlines a little interesting, and then your second one, you're like, okay, now we're going to take the Kiriko off the board. Make things a little bit more interesting yet again. Now the Lucio's still available, but, no Kiriko makes that a little interesting. You could run the BAP Lucio, but that's kind of really only the composition that you can kind of run in that backline. But we'll have to find out, of course, what the kind of compositions are looking like. I think, me personally, I'm saying that Jade Eagles have the advantage here. I think the Kiriko ban is going to make things a little bit nicer for their backline. We'll have to see, of course, if they do want to keep things in, and we're going to have to find out, of course. Anything can happen in terms of compositions. I've learned to not expect anything from meta picks. Obviously I'd be like, well, of course, they're going to run Diva, they're going to run Tracer, they're going to run Emre, but of course we saw Mei Bastion, Ramatra last round. So, it's kind of anybody's guess as to what compositions will be run.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a Zarya swap here from Jade Eagles on the second submap on Samoa, so it's a possibility if they want to just run these more meta picks now that they cannot run their Wrecking Ball. But if they still want to run some version of a dive, I think there is plenty of room to run Winston and Diva, both still in a really good spot right now. I've even seen on the rise some hazard compositions here at certain meta compositions and certain teams that are favoring this dive but also want to have some staying power. So without the Wrecking Ball, I'm curious to see what the decision is from Jade Eagles, whether they have any swaps coming through, because that could easily mean a massive change up in their comps coming into Runasapi, right? They didn't need Wrecking Ball in that second round, so it's not as if they are a one-trick team, but yeah, whereas for 0-1, they're kind of the team with something to prove here, so I would love to see something more consistent from them. I want to see them stick to their guns here. If they're going to run this Ramatra comp or this Orisa comp, I want to see them really go all in on this. I think the Mei Bastion was a pick to try and deal with that Wrecking Ball, but it clearly did not pay off at all, if I'm being honest. So I think you could run a Mei here, but I would say not alongside a Bastion. Honestly, Reaper just got a bit of a buff we were talking about before the series, so you want to run a Mei Reaper on Runasapi? I've seen crazier things.
Yeah, I mean, something else that needs to be talked about for 0-1 is the fact that they kind of swapped off of these characters a little bit too early, right? They would get a little bit of ult charge and they'd get around 50%. In the case of Loki, I think Loki got to literally have Blizzard on the table before swapping over to the Ashe. So you take that ult off the table, and so now things get a little different and a little bit more dicey because you don't have that major ultimate that can change the tide of a fight. But I do believe that we do have some substitutions now for the side of 0-1. Am I calling this too early, Prod? I apologize if I am. I think we're gonna see some role swaps too. But okay, I do want to talk about one thing real quick. Is the fact that the ball ban is more of a niche pick when I think that Diva is just kind of a stronger option right now. I think Diva not getting changed at all with the patch. Ball is definitely kind of more of a niche pick, right? If you run that ball, it means that you're incredibly good at the ball. But there's stronger other options on the table So 0 to 1 kind of target banning that out after that first round, but is that really the smartest call on Runasapi? I mean, I don't really know. The ball swap didn't really affect them all too much from the side of Jade Eagles, so I'm gonna be a little. I'm holding back a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I completely understand that. I think you're right in that the Kiriko ban is obviously more impactful considering pretty much every single team is going to play Kiriko as often as is physically possible. She is just kind of that good at all stages of the game right now. So yeah, I think if the Wrecking Ball is this, particular composition that you build your roster around for Jade Eagles, then I totally understand that ban, but you're absolutely right. We saw a very competent Zarya come out immediately the second Jade Eagles understood that the Wrecking Ball was going to be hard countered by the composition out from 0 to 1. So yeah, I mean, it saves you from having to deal with the Wrecking Ball, yes, but it does not save you from much else. It allows the rest of the tank roster to be, ripe for the taking here for Jade Eagles. And I haven't seen any indication that they are solely locked into that ball composition with the rest of their players as well. I think if you're going to run that Tracer Venture, that obviously comes alive here on Runasapi. On Push in general, but I think on Runasapi, especially with its, its hills and valleys that it has and all these tight corners that the push maps are most notable for, I think that this DPS line is something that 0 to 1, I'm sure they're considering, right? You have to think about all of these angles here, but, these bans can only do so much on their own. We do have finally the full slate of subs coming through here. Yes, it is going to be, at least for Jade Eagles, let me just real quick. Yes, so that's going to be Ufer in on the DPS line and Mercat moving over to the support line. All right, so for both of them, we have some movement coming through for your roster. Zongfrog moving to DPS and Guacamole in here for Loki for 0 to 1. So massive changes. That indicates, though, for both of these that I'm expecting some Lucio.
Yeah, definitely some Lucio going to be played here today. The only question I have is, will this Ana still be on the table? Is the backline really going to be an Ana Lucio backline? If so, it's a little bit more of an interesting choice. How will that Ana kind of stay alive if that Tracer goes onto the backline? That's going to be the real question. I don't know if that's going to be what they're rolling out on, but I think it's an incredibly... I was about to say strong, but I think it's weak. I think Ana Lucio is a weak backline. But we do see Jade Eagles going to be running out on a very interesting comp. We'll have to see if that comes to fruition. I don't know if I love it. The Torb is definitely a pick of all time. 0 to 1, running a more traditional comp, that hazard comp that you were talking about earlier, with a Genji and a Cassidy. We'll have to see, of course, how this works out for them as we do get these doors opened up, and we'll have to see how this first fight goes, as Tsukishima gonna be swapping over to that Zarya also, and Kayla gonna be sticking onto that Juno, so very, very interesting. We'll have to see, of course, how this first fight goes.
I love this. Each team has an entirely different read on their own personal meta right now, so it really is, just like on Samoa, a huge clash of compositions coming into this. The BAP alongside the Lucio, honestly love to see those two supports played alongside each other. When you don't have the Kiriko, and you get a whole lot of versatility in these backlines, but Guacamole trying to chauffeur the rest of the team around as quick as possible, where, yeah, it is just the speed ring from Kayla allowing the some more slow Zarya to get in and out as necessary, so it is going to be a bit of a difficulty here, especially considering that Mercat very diveable on this Ana, already feeling the pressure. Zongfrog lighting things up on that Genji. The DPS swap here coming alive. It is going to be 0 to 1. Find the first kill, but a little bit of bot progress gained. Not very much at all in the grand scheme of things, but Jade Eagles having to be chased away from the bot now. But Ufer finding Guacamole. All right, 0 to 1. Not playing this as carefully as you'd like, considering that this Emery is still able to get a jump up shot directly onto you. Ufer, it should be noted, is about to have an override protocol online, insane levels of damage in, but Rango on this hazard is really lighting things up here. 0 to 1 have finally clinched this fight win. It was looking hairy there for a second, but they've got things moving.
Yeah, really good fight there from 0 to 1, just kind of realizing and isolating out that Ana, and we do see a swap off of the Zarya onto the Hog. This is interesting. Hog got nerfed a little bit, reworked a little bit in that latest patch, so we'll have to see how it performs here now. But I really like the answers from 0 to 1. They're going to go shut down that Ana as often as possible. We do see a swap already, but also, being able to just use that Cassidy to take care of that Tracer that was being such a problem last time.
Yeah, it is going to be up in the sky. The override protocol here from Ufer trying to find a single pick off. We got switch this. We got Ghoul. How much more can we get? Ghoul finding a fadeaway shot onto Char is not going to be much at the end of the day here. A single ultimate there. That Emery ult is still as good as ever. 2 months of this hero, and it feels like I've been seeing this forever, but I never get tired of seeing that one pay off.
Yeah, a really good override protocol. Finds 3 picks and gets the fight win for the side of the Jade Eagles. But now 0-1 having a lot of advantage. Hook has already been forced out, but they have 4 ults on the table. And all they really have on the side of Jade Eagles is a pulse bomb and close to having a ray. But you're going to have to do something here. As long as 0-1 don't over ult, that would be the major problem here.
That's going to be the downpour coming through from Rango. I don't know if we locked anybody up here, but Ghoul finding 2 kills here in close quarters is massive. 0-1, need to keep Rango alive if at all possible. Ghoul falling low as well. Tsukishima is just able to get away for a few more moments, able to get onto that high ground. The window on the low ground here for Switch this. Finding a little bit of value to start off, but when the rest of Jade Eagles disengage, that's going to be it. But we are still fighting here. It was only just those 2 early kills, and of course the rest of Jade Eagles are back in and fighting fit. It's going to be the orbital ray coming out here from Kayla. Mercat, it should be noted, having been dive bombed on that Ana, is now on that Lucio. Double speed backline here for Jade Eagles. Necessary to keep something as slow as the Roadhog in the fight for as long as you can humanly hope. It's going to be the whole hog online. We'll see where these close room fights happen in here. Yeah, that is a back wall you can paint with pleasure there for Tsukishima. No worries at all as you send 0-1. Yes, you don't get a kill, but you certainly send them all scattered, and you get yourself some free push here. Almost meeting the same distance.
Yeah, I really kind of wanted 0-1 to kind of use one of their ults, because now they lose this lead. They go for the high noon. The hook has been utilized, but I mean, I think that they could have beat it there in order to stabilize and win that fight out, right? But I mean, they get these kills with that high noon, and they still save their own ults, but they don't have the advantage anymore in terms of the lead. And a nice trade from that hog coming out is going to make things a little bit more difficult here for this next upcoming fight.
Yeah, Jade Eagles lose the fight, but Tsukishima got his. So that's kind of all that matters at the end of the day for a hog player. Oh, a nice hook onto that hazard. Rango, I mean, one of those tanks that can sometimes be a little bit vulnerable to those hooks in particular. It's going to be the blade out here from Zongfrog, the sound barrier as well from Guacamole, just to keep everyone sustained and kicking. Rango goes with that downpour. I didn't really see anyone locked up here for Jade Eagles, just slippery enough to get out of dodge at the right moment. Override protocol went up in the sky from Ufer, but again, mostly zoning everybody out, but the kills still coming through here. Taking down Switch, this is massive, but Ghoul still in this fight. Ooh, for a few seconds longer at least, and that is the Lucio. Mercat hungry for some revenge here onto this Cassidy, but it is going to be Zongfrog back in here on this Genji to really answer. Still though, the bot has been in control of Jade Eagles this entire time. 0-1, having lost that lead, as you mentioned, Mega Ninja, now have to play every fight that much more perfect.
Yeah, and they utilized a lot of their ults on the side of 0-1. They used the beat, they used the blade, they used the downpour, and they don't even really get that progress that they absolutely need to. Now Jade Eagle's gonna have 4 on the board, and they can keep the lead here, and even though it's only 2 meters, they have the advantage. This beat from Guacamole has to be built incredibly fast. Otherwise, I mean, this could just be another fight win for the side of Jade Eagles and letting them keep their lead. This window also has to go massive, but it's gonna be so difficult to get done. Oh.
I mean, the DPS line of 0-1 caught sleeping. A massive pulse bomb here from Char, cleaning things up before they even really get underway. And Ufer is just dominating on this Embry. It is just the door shut of a jagged wall behind you, but a Tracer's not bothered by a little thing like a wall here. Rango is able to get back to the rest of the squad, but insult to injury, the lead was ever so slightly gained here from 0-1. So actually, it turns out that sneaky, get down, Mr. President, worked out just fine here. Good on them for actually getting the lead, but as you said, they committed so much in that last fight that Jade Eagles have a bit more to work with, but they have actually, for the side of 0-1, built up to a few more support ults. But while all that is happening, the bot is still free pushing here. It is the Lucio on the objective. The whole hog comes out, and it just buys some time, buys some space, and that is all this team needs right now. That's the story of push, right? You do not necessarily need to win any one of these battles. You just need to slowly, through attrition, take down any chance that your opponent has at actually touching the bot here. The window coming out from Switch this, but everyone is forced all the way back, and you're playing within close quarters against the composition that you do not want to run into against a small room. That's another protocol to clean things up.
Yeah, and despite the fact that 0-1 lost Rango first in that engagement, they pop their downpour, their window, and their high noon. So again, at a disadvantage, they have the beat and they have the blade, but the lead is so far in Jade Eagles' favor. They have another pulse bomb coming online here. So if you're 0-1, you try to win this without utilizing any ults, and a nice kill onto that hog is going to be able to stabilize things a little bit. I mean, but you just have to make sure you don't ult here. You have to make sure not to ult, please.
Yeah, Zongfrog, please hold on to this blade. Guacamole, don't worry about anything here. Even if you go down, the spawn is right there. It is no trouble, no sweat off your back whatsoever. It's going to be a fight win here for 0-1, as you were hoping. They didn't spend anything else. And honestly, they're coming into this next fight with a good suite of ultimates. But again, that is a massive amount of push, a massive lead gained here for Jade Eagles.
Yeah, 2 minutes on the clock here, and you got to get 50 meters, and you don't really have the options and the tools online to get the job done. You do take away that forward spawn. The pulse bomb comes out, and it does kill Ghoul. That's a devastating first pick. That's one of your ultimates that you kind of needed to keep online here, and I think this is Jade Eagles winning the fight yet again. And no ult used from the side of 0-1, and it's looking dire here, honestly. 2 minutes left, 50-meter lead, and you keep your ults. I mean, it's gonna take a miracle here for 0-1 to get the lead back in their favor.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I had better words, better news for 0-1, but yeah, you're absolutely right. Their backs are up against the wall here, and losing Zongfrog, again, you have all 5 ultimates, but what are you going to do with them when you're losing bodies left and right like this? If we lose Ghoul immediately, let the Sound Bear committed for Guacamole. You need to keep folks alive, but it is going to be the override protocol here from Ufer. Downpour committed as well, so it is fighting tooth and nail here on the objective, but 0-1, despite their spends, are getting nothing for their money here. They still have the DPS ultimates, but 2 of them are back in the spawn room as it is. Switch this having to back up against the doors themselves. Jade Eagles have no ults, but they've got all the aura they need. It's the blade coming out here from Zongfrog. This looks like it finally will halt things. The bot will not push any further, at least for now, but I mean, Mega Ninja, that's functionally a full cap, right? We just have under a minute to go. Char goes off the end, but distance-wise, this is going to take Herculean effort.
Yeah, this is a Sisyphusian task, right? I mean, how on earth is 0-1 managing to get, I don't know, close to 90 extra meters with having just their high noon available? This has to be the biggest high noon in the history of Overwatch, as you do finally take away forward spawn. But I mean, Jade Eagles have that Ray online, so it's going to be so difficult for 0-1 to get the job done. At all, really. I mean, they have to utilize their old rotations incredibly well. Otherwise, I mean, this could just be Jade Eagles going up 2-1 or 2-0.
Zongfrog now making use of that newly upgraded Reaper. That Dire Trigger is now part of that hero's base kit, but Tsukishima picking off Guacamole, that is perhaps the most devastating loss to start off this fight here. You don't have that Lucio speed boost. Everyone out here is a sitting duck, remaining in the fight for as long as you possibly can. Rango goes up, but does not come back down alive. The downpour Ajax mid-air, that is going to be a clean Runasapi from Jade Eagles. 0-1, I mean, they made some efforts, they made some progress, but it wasn't nearly enough, and now we're at match point for Jade Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, it was really interesting when it came to the usage of ults, right? I mean, they lose a couple of players and they decide to give up space, but in doing so, 0-1 lose the lead. So it's a really interesting to see that come to play. And also, I think the composition from 0-1, you know, kind of does get gapped a little bit by the side of Jade Eagles. I mean, you know, in terms of the ultimates that are available, I mean, you have the downpour, which can, you know, if you get a lot of players connected to it, it could be huge. The high noon, never really known for getting its, you know, its kills, its fight wins, and then window, which is such a one of the weaker support ults right now. I would say. I mean, you think when things like Rush and Beat and Ray are on the table, I mean, it's kind of difficult for Window to kind of get any value, especially when Lucius on the other side. You just amp speed directly past it and you slime out anybody on the other side of it. So, you know, I think that there are definitely some interesting ult choices from 0-1, but I believe that the reverse sweep can start now. I believe that they can do it, but it's gonna be a daunting challenge for them.
Well, daunting or not, you're right, they do need to figure it out, but we're going to go to a quick break while our teams get things sorted. Map 3, potential final map on the horizon right after this. Welcome back, folks. We are right here. Third map in the series in the first round of playoffs here for NA Masters Division. It is, of course, it is Jade Eagles versus 0-1. Jade Eagles up 2 maps already. Both Samoa and Runasapi going their way in, I have to say, pretty commanding fashion here. Yeah, we saw some moments here coming out from 0-1, but moments is all they've been so far, Mega Ninja. We need to see a lot more from them if they're gonna have any hope of reverse sweeping this series.
Yeah, they're able to take some fights based off of a couple of ults, but I mean, they're just not able to convert those into advantages, into leads. You know, there was a time it was looking close on Runasapi. They managed to push it all the way towards that checkpoint, but then they weren't able to get any momentum off of that. They just lost too many fights in a row. So now, I mean, this is a really dire situation for 0-1. They have to reverse sweep Jade Eagles, the higher seed, in order to stay in this upper bracket. Is it possible? We'll have to find out. You know, I think anything is possible, but I mean, I could also grow wings in an instant and start flying. So, I mean, we'll just have to see, of course, if I start flying or if 0-1 are able to reverse sweep.
Well, it's got to start here on Suravasa. Their map pick here for our third one in the series, Flashpoint. Honestly, I'd like to see a swing come out here. Now, Flashpoint, honestly, if I had to critique here, between Control and Push and Flashpoint, those are all pretty similar play types, right? I think Push has some sort of similarities with Control, Flashpoint, and also with Escort, of course, having that objective you've got to fight over and move around the point here. But Flashpoint essentially is just one massive control map laid over a massive contiguous space. So I'm kind of expecting to see the same things I saw from Jade Eagles at the very beginning of this series here again. They could easily run the Wrecking Ball, considering that it was banned on Runasapi, which means it is fully available here unless Jade Eagles make the crazy choice to ban it out themselves. But we saw also the Zarya look from them was very solid there, starting things off on Runasapi and then also closing things out on Samoa. So it's not as if there is any real indication that there's a real stopping power here for the side of Jade Eagles. They made the hog work, for goodness sake, all the way through Runasapi. And honestly, it worked. Like, they were finding the pickoffs. Those hooks were solid coming out. So yeah, 0-1. Once again, the ball is in their court. They need to make a solid pick here. And frankly, Mega Ninja, I'm not even really sure which piece to take off the board.
I got you right now. It's gotta be an Emre. It's gotta be Emre. I mean, Uford just doing absolute diabolical things with that override protocol, just turning fights outright, getting 3 kills with pretty much every single ult. I mean, yeah, it just has to be the Emre. I think your other option is maybe you take the Lucio off the board yourself, but I think the Emre was just causing way too many problems. Maybe it could have been a Tracer ban, but I support the Emre ban entirely. Take care of that hit scan that provides such a damage and you know, able to pop off so incredibly well. So now it's the side of Jade Eagles, right? They've already banned out both of these supports. They've banned out the Curie and the Lucio. Do you finally take a tank off the table? Is this where the Hazard ban comes through? Is this where a Zarya ban comes through? There's options on the table for Jade Eagles. I don't think we'll see another support ban out of them. Nothing's really been an issue for them in that terms of that backline, but I mean, they could do whatever they really want. They haven't had any problems so far.
No, I was gonna guess either the Orisa or the Brig. The Baptiste is certainly unexpected, but yeah, if I'm Jade Eagles, I don't think I'm too concerned whatever compositions we're seeing here. The Hazard gave them no trouble whatsoever on Runasapi. Much as I hate to say it, the Downpours didn't do a whole lot of work, and the minute-to-minute fighting was really mitigated by some excellent Roadhog and rotational work here from that Lucio Juno backline. So Jade Eagles, yeah, I think the Baptiste was probably the best piece of 0-1's composition on Runasapi, but by no means is it, the defining factor, nor is it winning them any, extensive fights. So 0-1, a necessary ban for them. I think you're absolutely right. The Emre is the right call here. You're still gonna have to worry about a Tracer all the way through. As you can see, we do have a slight substitution here. Loki is coming back in for 0-1. She'll be on support this time. Guacamole still holding strong on, we have to assume, that Lucio. But yeah, Tsukishima, I'm expecting to see the Wrecking Ball yet again, because 0-1, their only answer to it was an Orisa, but that's so much harder on Flashpoint than it is on Control.
Also something to talk about, and something that, you know, hasn't really been addressed yet, is the fact that the Kiri Lucio backline is finally available in this series. Every single map so far, there has been one piece of the puzzle taken out, but now that meta backline is available. So we'll have to see if that is going to be the answer for 0 to 1. Are they going to be running that Kiri Lucio to try to stabilize things? Maybe that's their bread and butter. Maybe that is their strength, their strong suit. We'll have to find out, of course, but Loki being subbed in does show us that, you know, she might be a strong Kiriko player. Oh, and we're looking underneath the map. That's a crocodile without arms and legs.
All right, we're not meant to see that. There we go. Perfect. Exactly as you expect to see a crocodile, fully rendered there in exactly the right proportions, right number of limbs that we're hoping for. So yes, it is Suravasa for our third map of the series. And if 0 to 1 do not turn things around, this will be our last one of the series, and Jade Eagles will clean sweep their way through and continue on in the upper bracket here of the playoffs. This is not a guarantee. I'm not going to be baited by a Reinhardt in the spawn, but wouldn't it be crazy? No, it's going to be the Wrecking Ball here for Tsukushima, as expected. Ufer, instead of the Emery, it is the Sojourn, which is absolutely the next best thing. For some players, certainly the better, but generally speaking, it gets a lot of work done. A bit more mobile than the Emery on average, and of course 0 to 1. I like to see this, right? Rango does favor this Junker Queen, as we got to see, at least from the hero stills before we get into the map itself. Zongfrog on this Reaper is a good pick, but unfortunately this composition can't really do a whole lot against a Wrecking Ball. Yes, that's the point of Ghoul, but you're sans your Cassidy here for a few more moments at the very least. So the point unlocking in just a second is going to be Jade Eagles with the positional advantage, and you're still having to be constantly concerned about this harassment of the Wrecking Ball in your back and front line, if I'm being honest here. Rango would love to actually lay down an axe and get the knife into this Wrecking Ball, but so tough to do, and Tsukushima has already proven to be so effective at rolling through, unbothered, moisturized in his lane, unconcerned here. Oop, but falls low, has to back off, not able to get out in time. Finally, it is going to be that Cassidy playing spoiler 2 at the fun and games of the Wrecking Ball, but already the point ticks up so fast here on Flashpoint. So yes, that is a retake here from 0 to 1.
Yeah, getting 43% on the board, though, for Jade Eagles is completely fine. I think maybe a ball swap is good. You know, Ghoul with that Hinder grenade is going to be so difficult to deal with for Tsukushima. Also, I really like the fact that Ufer on that Sojourn going to have that overclock online already. Incredibly fast ult charge. But Guacamole has a beat to kind of mirror it. We'll have to see which one gets popped first. You know, if they go fast enough right now, oh, that's a really bad opening pick here. This could go the way of Jade Eagles right here, right now.
Yeah, overclock already built up here for Ufer. No matter what hero this guy is on, building up towards these ults so quickly. They're sniping. That is a headshot onto Guacamole. That Lucio couldn't even know what hit him. The brain, the first thing to go there. That is 0 to 1 being picked apart on the outside of the objective. It is Ufer coming up with 4 of those kills, I have to say here. And if he has his druthers, would easily get a 5th. We'll see if that is to be the case. No, Kayla robbing the full 5k. 71% built from 0 to 1 is not nothing, but essentially with the way these points tick up, that's last fight territory on this first point.
Yeah, and look at the ults that are available, right? I mean, both teams have that rush, but Murkat has the advantage of having that beat. They're going to rush early here for the set of Jade Eagles, and that could force the point cap automatically at 0 to 1. Can't mirror it right now. They have the Queen ult, which could be massive here, but we'll have to find out, of course, if that is the cards that they want to play, or if it's going to be first point going the way of Jade Eagles.
0 to 1. I mean, when you have this many ultimates, you can't let this one go, but already the minefield just off the point, taking down Guacamole. Ghoul following just before. That is going to be, despite the ult expended, Rango spends the Rampage, even being down 3 for 0 to 1. Might have been an overinvestment. Yes, you get a late game kill onto Murkat, but no one's going to get back in time to actually continue your sustain on the objective. That's going to be Jade Eagles taking the first point here. 0 to 1. Yeah, they still have some ults, but they might have overspent.
I don't think it was an overspent, considering Jade Eagles did use that beat in retaliation to the Queen ult. I think if they didn't use that beat, then it would have been a problem before 0 to 1. But now Jade Eagles are at a disadvantage. Ufer gonna have that overclock online yet again, but Ghoul and Loki both have their ults online. So it's definitely going to be an advantage there for 0 to 1. They should theoretically win out this fight. We'll have to see, of course, if the theory is reality. But I believe in 0 to 1 being able to convert this, but they need to push up so that they can actually get a foot on this first objective. But Ghoul taken down. Oh, that's not a good start.
In between Ufer on the Sojourn, finding these early pickoffs, and of course being constantly harassed and harangued by Tsukishima on this Wrecking Ball, it's so hard to even not only close the distance, but actually find yourself in a good position to attack from, either at range or up close. And they're constantly being bullied back and forth here. Rango, again, having a really tough time actually, keeping the team marshaled up here. Ghoul, though, is that one target that Tsukishima has had a bit of difficulty dealing with already. This Cassidy, natural predator to that tiny hamster in the Wrecking Ball. But it is now built up enough time for Jade Eagles to have plenty of ults of their own here. Essentially, we're looking at 4 for 3 now, 0 to 1. Have not been able to get enough damage in to actually even up that ult percentage, but they're going to go with a tempo beat here. Guacamole wants to get them on this objective, but that only lands onto 3 targets, both Loki and Zongfrog not within range. That does mean the Jade Eagles disengage. They gave the point over here for a few more seconds, but a minefield on the objective. We're still fighting this one out here. Gets booped off. Terrible spot to be in for Ghoul. Takes a bit of a dip in the drink, and so they've gotten some percentage on the board here now, but it looks as though with the rush laid down from Loki, yes, you're back on the objective here, and Guacamole is zooming around the speed of sound, but I think that's going to be all the percentage you get. 34 for 0 to 1, and a late game rush now when Jade Eagles hold on to theirs. That doesn't feel so great.
Yeah, I mean, I think Loki just held on to the rush way too long. Had it for, Kayla pretty much lapped her on the rush. So, I mean, this is going to be such a problem right now for a recontest. You 90% and you're really close to having it, but it's going to be so difficult, especially with this overclock having so much space to gain.
Yeah, and of course, having that perk 150 charge here for that overclock is no joke. Even Rango's larger health pool on that Junker Queen can still be very easily blasted down if you're not careful. It is going to be, yet again, Jade Eagles bending, letting the point go, letting the cap come through from 0 to 1 to get the rest of their roster all back together. So now they have both support ults online coming in this next fight.
Yeah, and the problem right now is Jade Eagles have both of their support ults online while 0 to 1 are behind. They only have this Queen ult to utilize. Zongfrog has also swapped over to that Junkrat, but a nice boop off the map onto the ball is going to win them another fight, especially with that rush coming through. That's a beautiful fight to win, but Uber gets a nice trade. It could go either way still. This Queen ult is going to be utilized. I thought they were about to go off the map, but the beat is good. Mercat able to keep everybody alive. This could still go either way. I believe the pulse bomb is on. Oh, nice pulse. And now this beat is online still, and they are going to pop it here. This has to be a fight win for 0 to 1. Otherwise, I mean, this could just be the series right here, right now.
Yeah, I mean, 0 to 1 are up to 99% right now. They find a kill onto Ufer and Kayla. All right, Tsukishima, though, is still alive in your back line and is about to have this minefield online as well. Mercat doing his very best to keep the remaining members sustained on the objective. That is going to be the minefield. So while the point is still in control of 0 to 1, the Junkrat of Zongfrog, as we should indicate here, is able to clean up those mines very handily. So it looks as though there's little sustain available for Jade Eagles, and that is going to be 1 point in the bag here for 0 to 1. We're not done with this one just yet.
Yeah, Jade Eagle's now going to have that overclock online here. That's going to be a huge ult that kind of decides automatically if this cap is going to go for the first of Jade Eagles or for 0 to 1. Something that Jade Eagles is doing really well is they're kind of just getting that first cap with no real pressure against them. 0 to 1 not really walking upwards to the objective. Also, we do see a hog swap here. Oh, that's not a good start.
I feel like I'm on Ilios well right here and now, but nope, that is going to be a knife pull there from Rango. Tsukishima on this Roadhog, hoping to, honestly, in all fairness, do the exact same thing on the opposite side, but getting outsmarted by now 0 to 1 for the first time, getting control of that point first up. So Ghoul finding an early pick off onto Ufer as well. I mean, that really is going to stuff this fight for a few more seconds here, at least until Tsukishima gets back in.
Yeah, Tsukishima's going to be walking main, but takes so much damage to this Junkrat. But you have that whole hog. No, I'm sorry, not the whole hog. The Riptire online. I've never had to cast Riptire before, so I've never had to use its government name. But we'll have to see if that can keep this point flip for the side of 0 to 1.
Zongfrog lets it go. We'll see if we find any pickoffs whatsoever, but Ufer, of course, Ufer snipes that one right out of the sky, but not before getting taken down in revenge there for the Fallen Ultimate. Tsukishima finding out Loki is a potential opening here for Jade Eagles, and Char with these pulse bombs has yet to miss here. Still gets the damage, not a full clean up on a kill there, but that's a massive rampage committed by Rango. The anti-heal is disgusting on this composition in particular, relying so much on those AoE heals. That is a measly 9% on the board. 0 to 1. I mean, you're just going to take this one away.
Yeah, I mean, just, Rango being able to realize that Kayla used that Suzu and just having to go absolutely massive with that Rampage was so nice to see. And Mercat wasn't able to have the beat up in time, only 88% now. So now they're going to actually have the advantage here. We do see Ufer swap over to that Pharah to kind of deal with that Junkrat a little bit. And 0 to 1 have a high noon available. Not the greatest of ults to have in your back pocket, as it looks like this beat is going to be online too. Oh my god, look at this Junkrat getting chased to the end of the earth. But I mean, Mercat going to be falling first. That's the ultimate online off of the table for Jade Eagles. This still could go the way of 0 to 1.
Look, I know the Hog worked really well on Rudasabi, but it feels like the current composition here from 0 to 1 has no time whatsoever. Unfortunately, a hook is still a hook. That is Tsukishima finding a pickup onto Guacamole as I say it. So that is going to be this point going first the way of Jade Eagles here. They're on the back foot now. They're down 2-1 here on Saravasa. They need to maintain presence. They need to clean up this point if they have a hope of taking this to a 5th.
Yeah, Hook's not going to be able to connect, and they do have a whole hog and a barrage and a beat available. This should be Jade Eagles to hold, but 0 to 1 have ultimates on the table. That's a beautiful hook onto Loki, shuts down one. Ghoul gets another one, and so that's going to be that's going to be a fight win, I think, for the side of Jade Eagles. I think if you're 0 to 1, you have to leave right here, right now. You cannot stagger anymore. Otherwise, this could just be the point automatically.
Ufer made this Pharah swap there on the last point, and I do like this here, right? Ghoul is your best bet at actually taking down this Pharah from the sky, but you're already doing so much to mark the rest of the roster here, especially Char's Tracer, that, yeah, I fully agree. It's really tough to actually find a real answer to it. So it is going to be the Riptire out here from Zongfrog. We'll see if it finds any connection this time going all the way around. We are seeing the full travel distance available to you, and that is going to be, unfortunately, detonating without any effect whatsoever. That's the sound barrier here for both sides. Gets a hook onto Guacamole, but the last bit over health, able to keep the frog alive for a few seconds longer, but that is all you're going to get. 99% on the board here for Jade Eagles. These hooks are hitting. Tsukishima is alive and well on this hog. It was looking dire for a second, but now we're even up 2-2. It is anybody's game.
Yeah, and look at the ults that are on the table now, right? I mean, okay, full DPS swap up from 0 to 1. Going to be over onto the Bastion Cassidy. But the only ultimates on the table for 0 to 1 are just the Rampage, and Jade Eagles don't have anything to utilize. Ufer going to swap back over to the Sojourn, seeing that Junkrat is no longer a problem. A nice hook onto Rango here on this inside area could force this ultimate almost immediately. But right now, I think Jade Eagles have the advantage, even though they're down ults. But, I mean, they just have the point pressure right now in order to stabilize.
Loki commits that Suzu just to keep Rango alive, yet you cannot afford to lose your one ultimate before the fight even really kicks off, so the point is in the hands of Jade Eagles. We'll see if a contest comes through. Not in time. Rango getting hooked out, and Mercat finding the finishing blow. It turns out you spent a little more time, another 15 seconds, but that same fight goes the exact same way as you were. Well, yeah, Bastion maybe not the one thing you want to hook, but Hooper's there to help clean that up for you. A couple of real shot kills there for the Sojourn, and now 0 to 1. That was their fight to lose. They needed to get an early kill onto it, but now the ults are coming online for Jade Eagles.
The problem is that 0 to 1 isn't actually contesting the objective. It's like once Jade Eagle steps a foot on it before it unlocks, like it's just automatically like, oh, well, they get the point now. The whole hog comes through. Rango dead yet again without using this Rampage. Nice trade from Zongfrog, who has swapped back over to the Junkrat, but I mean, 62%, and I mean, this hog is just proving to be a problem.
Look, by the time 0 to 1 get back into this one, it's going to be final fight, right? With the way these points tick up, and we're looking at least a pulse bomb and a rush here. Mercat that's a disgusting hook. Zongfrog not expecting it whatsoever. The lore implications kind of insane about that one here, but 0 to 1 only have this Rampage, and if you're lucky, if Guacamole stays alive, a sound barrier to work with, but you're down a body already, and you need to contest this objective as the rush here from Kayla. Mercat goes ahead, rips that sound barrier that is going to be alive and well. The Jade Eagles will clean things up. It was looking dicey for a second here on Saravasa, but they take 3 out of the necessary 5, and the same is true with the series overall. A 3-0 victory. Jade Eagles stay alive in the upper bracket.
Rango decided to hold their Rampage for Overwatch 2's re-release. I don't really know why that happened, but hey, that's going to be the end of the series here. Beautiful showing there from Jade Eagles. A little scrappy on that Saravasa, but they were able to get the job done. Very interesting to see that come out into fruition. I think that 0-1 can make a lower bracket run, at least for a little bit. I think there's still improvements to be made in terms of, your compositions, in terms of your ultimates, but I do think that, the Jade Eagles just managed to get the better of them today, despite having that hog. Is hog back in the meta? Is that what I'm learning today? Is that the takeaway from today's game?
It certainly feels that way for Jade Eagles, right? The only hint at a meta composition we got was a brief look at a Zarya on Samoa, but that's kind of it. Both of these teams like to run their own game, and from Jade Eagles, I have not seen a hog composition played that consistently, right? That's over 2 maps in a row, and of course 0-1 not finding an answer to it despite the many swings they took between both Runasapi and Saravasa. No answers really found. Yes, you're able to get those 2 sub points, and honestly, I did have some hope there. There was a spark for 0-1 to actually, swing Saravasa in their favor, but they just never found an answer. I think you're absolutely right in that they were not contesting the point nearly as much as you needed to. Most of the fights they were taking were either in opposing territory or well before they actually had the point presence. There was not a lot of pressure actually being maintained onto Jade Eagles' positioning here, and so yeah, with the hog finding the early pickoffs as well, there's not a whole lot you can do about that except, I don't know, have a little bit of a cleaner approach, but really Tsukishima kind of lighting things up, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it was just Jade Eagles in the driver's seat for the entirety of the time. Saravasa was like a tiny bit close. It was 3-2, but that last point was just a 100-0. I don't know. It was just a little interesting to see. I think 0-1 have a couple of things they need to change up. Compositions, bans, ult usage, ult rotation, stuff like that. Not saying that they're bad in any of those categories. It's just there's room for improvement. But I mean, we take a look at the 0-1 bans here, and they were all reactive, right? The ball was able to do so much on map 1, so they decided to ban ball for map number 2. Then the Emre was able to do so much for map number 2, and so they banned Emre for map number 3. They never really had thought processes besides just, okay, what beat us in the last map? But each map is different, right? You can't really rely on that last map to make sure it has all the answers. But I think that 0-1 can make it pretty far in the lower bracket. I think Jade Eagles have a chance to also go pretty far still in the upper bracket before getting knocked down, if they have the chance. I mean, now we know that Jade Eagles are going to be going against unwoke Yaoi enthusiasts. So, I mean, okay, and do we know where 0-2? Okay, they're going to losers 20, so they are going to be getting a bye automatically. And go against whoever loses between Shu's production team and Blackout Eclipse and Asura. So, we now know where they stand in the playoffs here. Will they be eliminated immediately? I don't think so. But we'll have to find out, of course, in the next series.
Yeah, of course, it's not all doom and gloom for them, right? They've got a chance to still keep things alive. But yeah, they have, in my opinion, a lot of doubling down on their own strengths. I would like to see them really focus on their own highlights as opposed to, as you're saying, playing really reactively there, especially when you think about those bans. They were all, what was most damaging to us in the last map and not what is going to come up to us ahead of us this time. And I think it's the same thing that we're seeing when they're taking these fights at just unfortunate positionings, not actually pressuring on the objectives. Same issues that we're getting to see there. A bit more initiative, a bit more consistent aggression out from them would be lovely to see. But which again, things sorted here behind the scenes, folks, as we're seeing whether or not we've got an interview or not for you. We'll see. Of course, the playoffs do provide a lot of versatility for these teams. There's always the question of whether they want to be in and out or whether they still want to keep around and really break down the action here, because I think there is a lot of there's a lot of good stuff to talk about for Jade Eagles. I think this is not even their final form, right? I think they have tons more to come in the upper bracket for as long as they stay alive during it. The hog composition is going to throw some teams, but also some that run these more meta compositions might have an easier time of actually answering to it.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. But while we are dealing with stuff in the background, we are going to throw it to a quick break. Believe it's for an interview, but just don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be back in a couple of minutes to sort things out for you guys.
Welcome back, folks. We've got some winners interviews with you here. Some members of Jade Eagles. We've got Char and Whacking here to join us. Welcome to you both. Congratulations on your win.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, first thing I want to get out of the way. This Roadhog composition you guys were sticking with for these two maps in particular, is this like the dominant strategy for you, or is this just sort of like a natural pick into what you're running for your opposition?
Well, we normally run like a lot of ball and kind of Zarya a little bit. But then our tank, he kind of just does whatever he wants. So he said, all right, guys, I'm going hog. And we said, okay. And that's how that happened.
Yeah, we're basically a team that just plays off their tank. He's a really good one.
Fair enough. First question I want to ask is that Servaso was I'm gonna say close, even though that last point was 100-0, but it did go all the way to 5 sub maps, you know. So I do want to ask, you know, what changed in between those first 2 maps that you guys were kind of dominating to that last Servaso, where it did kind of come down to the wire.
Yeah, I think their swap to Junkrat kind of threw us off. He got a lot of like early picks, especially on that second point, or the one that they won. He got a lot of like early picks, which was able to kind of put a lot of effort in for them.
I think a little bit took part of like the ult usage. I think we kind of gave him a few rounds, but we picked it up. That was good.
And then one more thing for me is, now that you guys have won this and continued on in the upper bracket, you guys are going against Unwoke Yaoi Enthusiast. I just wanted to ask what you guys were going to be doing in order to prepare for them. Is there any particular strategy you guys are going to be doing? Is it just going to be scrimming more? Are you guys going to like look at their VODs? Or are you guys just going to go in as blind as a bat?
I don't know about the team in general. I'll personally play some like quick plays or something. I think that'll be good.
Yeah, all right, one more thing to ask you before we go. Now, you're staying alive in the upper bracket here. Is there any team that you've seen so far that you really want to face off against here in the playoffs?
Well, I can get who is it that we almost got? Was it Aura Fury?
Oh yeah, it was.
Yeah, I want a rematch. I think we win. I think we have a good shot, and I wanna prove it to ourselves that we can take him.
I mean, from what I saw from you guys today, I believe that you could. Before we let you go, anyone you want to, you know, say thanks or shout out before you head out?
Oh my gosh. Go ahead,
Yeah, you
Char.
want to go? Shout out Leah. She saved the game. This
Crap,
whacking
I was
guy.
trying to save.
This
Shout out
whacking
Leah.
guy was our 5th and only player at the time, and she had to run over to his apartment and wake him up so he could play in the game.
God, that guy.
She is the true MVP of this game.
All right, well, you love to see it. Well, once again, congrats on the win today. Can't wait to see you guys make it all the way through the upper bracket. Good luck in your next series.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
All right, Mega Ninja, honestly, it's so fun to get to talk to them. Clearly a team that has a great time doing what they're doing. And I love the kind of vibes-based compositions, right? Being able to sort of orbit and work around with whatever your tank is leading the charge with. And it honestly paid off for them massively, whether it was the ball or the hog, looking really solid all the way through.
Yeah, I mean, they just seemed completely unbothered. You know, I asked them about what their thoughts were going into their next match in the playoffs, and they were just like, we'll queue a couple of quick play games. Why not? So, you know, I think that they're really unbothered, and they really are just kind of go with the flow kind of team. But I mean, they made it work on the hog, they made it work on the ball, they made it work on the Zarya. I mean, this team looks pretty powerful with their versatility and their ability to just kind of adapt to situations. But wait,
We lost you to the void for a second.
wait, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, wait, you guys can hear. Okay, I don't know what happened with my video. My video is fine. I don't really know what happened there. Oh, okay, wait, I'm back. No, but I think this team can make it far in the upper bracket. We'll have to find out, of course, when their next matchup. They have a pretty strong opponent, but you know, I'm not gonna bet against them just yet.
Yeah, cannot wait to see how far they go. But folks, that's going to do it for us on the broadcast here tonight. But we are deep in playoffs for all of CGL. There is so much more to come, EU and NA and more all week long. So stay tuned here. You'll know if you stay up with the announcements, you'll know exactly when we go live. But thanks so much for joining us for tonight. There's plenty more to come later this week.